Hey, welcome back to my channel, Made by B Jax. I'm Brittany Jackson, and today I will be showing you how to make this super sexy, multifunctional, form-fitting dress. I say it's multifunctional because it can serve as a beach cover-up or as a sexy little date night club dress. I know I will be wearing them as both. This dress is made based on your measurements, and it can be any length that you desire, and it can be altered to show as much or as little skin as you like. For example, this white version was my first prototype that I freestyled just for fun, and then I made the pink version to solidify my design before executing these instructions, and the black version is the result of this tutorial. It's slightly different than the white and pink version. As you can see, I did not continue the see-through mesh pattern over my lower belly and my hips because I decided I did not want that part to be super see-through, but you can make yours based on either version you like the most. Here's a quick look at all the materials I used to make this project. Next, with your measuring tape, you're going to need 4 measurements. The first one is going to be half of your bust measurement. So mine comes out to about 34 inches, so half of that's going to be 17 inches for me. The next measurement is the smallest part of your waist. I'm rounding mine out here at 27. Next, you'll need to measure the widest part of your hips and butt area. Mine are coming out to about 38. And then you'll need the length from your under bust area to the top of your belly button. This is where we're gonna start adding the hip section, and you wanna make sure that your butt crack doesn't show in your dress. So that's how long that torso section needs to be. I'm going to aim to make mine about 7 inches in length. We're going to begin making the triangle shape at the top of the dress. So go ahead and grab your yarn, make a slip knot, and we're gonna start with a chain 3. Next, half double crochet into the very first chain you made. This is row 1. For row 2, chain 2, turn your work. We're going to start with an increase, so leave 2 half double crochet into the very first stitch. Then leave 2 half double crochet into this chain 2 space. This is going to be the only row that we ever work into our chain 2 space. That completes row 2. You should have 4 half double crochet stitches. For our third row, chain 2, and we're going to begin with an increase and end with an increase. So leave 2 half double crochet into that very first stitch. Half double crochet once into the next stitch, and again once into the next stitch, and then increase on the last stitch. So that's 2 half double crochet into that very last stitch. That completes row 3. You should have 6 stitches total. For row 4, chain 2, turn your work, start with an increase, so 2 half double crochet in the first stitch, half double crochet once into each of the next 4 stitches, and then increase on the very last stitch with 2 half double crochet. That completes row 4. You should have 8 stitches total. For row 5, chain 2, turn your work, start with an increase, half double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches, and then end with an increase on the very last stitch. You're going to repeat these steps for every row until you reach your desired width. I'm going to continue making rows until I reach about 8.5 inches in width, because 8.5 inches times 2 is 17, and that is half of my bust measurement, and I need to make 2 of these triangles, so one triangle needs to be 8.5 inches for me. Yours might be different based off of your measurements. You can continue to make yours as short or as long as you'd prefer. But for this tutorial and for my size, I'm stopping at row 13. Here I am measuring the bottom of my triangle. It ended up being a little bit wider than 8.5 inches. I probably could have stopped at row 12 instead of 13, but that's fine. I'll take the extra coverage here. To secure your work, go ahead and chain 1 and pull your yarn through, and you can cut it off right here. After this, you're going to make a second triangle identical to your first one, but you are not going to cut your yarn on that one. I just finished my second triangle, and now I'm going to begin row 14 with no increases, and this row is going to connect both triangles together. So I'm chaining 2, turning my work, and I'm going to half double crochet once into that very first stitch. And then I'm going to half double crochet all along the bottom until I reach the end, and that's where I'm going to demonstrate how I connect my triangles. Right now I'm leaving my very last half double crochet at the end of my triangle with no increases. Next, grab your other triangle and insert your hook into the very last stitch that you made. Right here, you're actually going to slip stitch to connect them together. Next, continue half double crocheting into every stitch all along the bottom of the second triangle while also crocheting over that tail. Here I am leaving my last half double crochet on the end, and once again remember we are no longer increasing, and that completes my row 14. Next I'm going to go back along this with half double crochets, but I'm going to leave a double crochet right here in the middle where that slip stitch is so that I can add some height to this row and so that it doesn't crease in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for my row 15, starting with chaining 2. Turning my work. Now I'm going to half double crochet all along the side. I'll slow down towards the middle so that you can see how I work that double crochet into that slip stitch. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of this row off camera, and I'll meet you towards the end. Here's what my 15th row looked like once it was done. Next, I'm going to do 4 rows of half double crochet with no increases to add some length to the bust area, and this is what it looks like whenever I was finished. If you prefer to have more coverage on your bust area, then you can definitely add more rows, but this would be a good time to hold this up against your body and see how much this part is covering your chest area before we move on, because we're going to begin the mesh pattern next. So if you are ready, we're going to go ahead and start with chaining 5. This counts as a triple crochet and a chain 1 space. Next, turn your work over, and we're going to skip the first 2 stitches and triple crochet into that 3rd stitch. So a triple crochet is yarning over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull a loop through, yarn over again, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through 2. That creates your first triple crochet chain space. So next, chain 1, we're going to skip the next stitch and triple crochet into the stitch after that. Again, chain 1, skip the next stitch, triple crochet into the stitch after that. You're going to repeat this pattern all along the bottom until you reach the end. I'm going to speed up the footage for the rest of this row, but I'll slow down towards the end so that you can see how I finish this row off. Right now, I'm leaving my last triple crochet, however, I noticed I have one more stitch left over. So, how I like to fix this little error is by removing that crochet and adding an extra chain. And then I'm going to triple crochet into that very last stitch. And I'm just going to ignore that I have that extra chain in there and pretend like it's just like all the other ones. You don't even notice that error whenever this dress is all said and done, so we're just going to move on. For our next row, we are going to chain up 4. This is going to count as a triple crochet. Turn your work over, and we are going to triple crochet once into this chain space. Next, leave 1 triple crochet on top of the triple crochet from the previous row. Triple crochet again into the next chain space. And basically we're just going to work a triple crochet into every chain space and triple crochet from the previous row until we get to the end of this row. I'll meet you towards the end so that I can show you how we finish this row off. While we're hanging out, I would like to mention that it is really hard to say the words triple crochet whenever you have a slight lisp and you have a very thick southern accent. I have to focus really hard every time I say the word triple crochet, and I say it way too many times. I thought about counting how many times I say it in this tutorial, and I cringed at the thought of that. I don't even want to know. But it's awful. My mouth doesn't want to open. I keep wanting to say triple crochet. It's awful! Somebody help me. I'm at the end of my row here, and since this chain 5 counted as a chain space and a triple crochet, I'm going to triple crochet twice into this area. And that completes this row. I'm just smoothing over this last triple crochet to square it off a little bit. We're going to do one more row of just triple crochets. So to get started with that, chain up 4. Turn your work. Since this chain 4 counts as a triple crochet, you're going to skip that first stitch and triple crochet into the stitch after that. Continue triple crocheting into every stitch all along the bottom until you reach the end. I'm going to speed up the footage for the rest of this row, but I will slow down towards the end so that I can show you how to finish this row off. I'm at the end of my row here, and I just wanted to demonstrate that since we are counting these chain 4s as triple crochets, make sure that you are leaving your last triple crochet into that chain 4 space, as I just demonstrated here. That completes this row, and here is what your work should be looking like so far. It's looking super cute. So next we're going to start repeating our pattern with these chain spaces, and then after that we're going to do 2 more rows of just triple crochet. So again, chain 5, that counts as a triple crochet chain space. Turn your work over. Skip the first 2 stitches and triple crochet into the 3rd stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, triple crochet into the stitch after that. Repeat this pattern all along the bottom until you reach the end. Right now I am leaving my last chain space and triple crochet at the very end to finish off my row. Here is what my work looks like so far. Next I'm just going to repeat these triple crochet rows and make sure that I get to 7 inches for my torso. So here's what that next row looks like once I was finished. And then 1 more row. Here's what it looked like once it was finished. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this now and see where we're at. Mine measured out to be 7 inches exactly. So next we're going to start working on the waist area. So my waist measured out to be 27 inches. So what I'm going to do is measure the width of the bottom of my dress so far and see how far out it stretches at the moment. It's looking like it's 19 inches wide. So I need to make a chain that will reach around my entire waist. So I have 8 inches of length that I need to compensate for. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and reinsert my hook and start making chains until I reach about 8 inches in length. I added about 2 more chains longer than 8 inches just so that whenever I slip stitch this in there, I won't be losing any of that chain length. So like I just mentioned, go ahead and insert your hook into the opposite corner of your dress and pull your yarn through and slip stitch that. Chain 1, then leave a long enough tail to sew in later at the end of our project. Next, count how many chains you have. I ended up with 29 chains, and then whatever half of that is, you're going to insert your hook. So I'm counting down 14. because that's going to be my middle point here of my chain. And I'm going to insert my hook right there on that 14th chain. Next, grab your yarn again and create a slip knot. Attach your yarn by pulling a loop through and chaining up 4. Turn your work over and then triple crochet into every chain until you reach the body of your dress. Continue triple crocheting all along the bottom of the body until you reach the opposite end. I will meet you towards the end so that I can show you how I began triple crocheting along the chain again and finishing off this round. Right now I'm finishing my last triple crochet before I start working on the chain. And I'm making sure that my chain isn't twisted up so that I continue working on it the right way. But just go ahead and keep triple crocheting into every chain until you reach the end. Right now I'm leaving my last triple crochet along my chains. Here's what your work should be looking like at this point. Now remember, this first chain 4 counts as a triple crochet, and we want to slip stitch into the 4th chain here. We don't want to slip stitch just right underneath it. We want to slip stitch into the chain stitch. So I take my hook and I grab the loop under the 4th chain stitch, and I just slide my hook right in there. I'll show you again. I take my hook and I latch onto it and then slide my hook underneath the 2 loops of that chain. After my hook is inserted, I just pull my yarn through and slip stitch to finish this round. And that completes your first row for the hip section. So this is our first round. Our next row is going to be triple crochets with increases so that we can start flaring out the hip section. So chain up 4, turn your work over. We're going to turn our work for every row, and triple crochet into the next stitch, not the same stitch that you chained 4 on, but the next stitch beside that. We're going to triple crochet into every stitch but increase on the 10th stitch. So I will be quickly demonstrating that here. I just left my 9th triple crochet. I'm double checking my work, and now I'm just inserting 2 triple crochet into the same stitch for my increase. So now we start again. I'm going to triple crochet 9 times, and on the 10th stitch I'm going to do an increase. Continue increasing on every 10th stitch all the way around until you reach the end. I'm going to go ahead and speed up the footage here and finish the rest off camera, and I will meet you towards the end so that you can see how I finish this row off. I've just finished my round, and as you can see here, I ended on an increase, so this last stitch has 2 triple crochet in it, but now I need to close this up and slip stitch it together. I'm going to demonstrate a different way of slip stitching into this 4th chain here. I'm just going to insert my hook right into the center of that chain and pull my yarn through, and it's finished. It's closed. This is a little bit easier than the first way I demonstrated, but it's still better than just slip stitching right under the chain. I don't like slip stitching under the chain. Go into the chain. It looks much better. So next I'm trying to determine if I need to do another row of increases. So my hip section needs to measure out 19 inches wide because 19 times 2 is 38, and my hips are 38 inches, and we're not there yet. So I'm going to do another row of triple crochet increases, and I'm going to do the same thing by increasing on every 10th stitch. Go ahead and make yours based off of your measurements. Some of y'all may not even have to add an extra row of increases. Some of y'all may have to add 2 rows of increases. Whatever your measurements need, go ahead and get that done. So I will go ahead and take care of this 3rd increase row, and I will meet you towards the end. I'm at the end of my round here, and as you can see, I did not end on an increase, so I'm just going to leave my last triple crochet here. And now it's time to close it up, so I'm going to demonstrate one more time how to do the slip stitch. I'm just shoving my crochet hook right into the middle of my chain, and then pulling my yarn through, finishing with a slip stitch. That completes row 3 of the hip section. So now I'm going to go ahead and measure the bottom of this and see if I need to do any more increase rows or to see if I reached 19 inches. Right now I'm taking the bottom corners of the dress and I'm giving it a comfortable stretch because I do want this to be form-fitting. I don't want this skirt section to be like loose and saggy on me, so I'm just giving it a comfortable stretch. And as you can see, I did reach 19 inches. So that means I don't have to do any more increase rows. Since I've made this as wide as I need it to be, I'm going to build on it with triple crochet rows and no increases until it covers my butt. I'm going to be doing that part off camera, but I will update you once I'm done to give you an idea of my measurements. So here's what it looked like whenever I was finished. Those were the 3 that I left off with. And I ended up adding 7 more rows. This measures out to 10 inches, so it's like every row is an inch long. That's perfect. But yeah, the skirt section for me is 10 inches. Next, I'm gonna start doing the mesh detail design on the bottom. To begin our mesh pattern, go ahead and chain up 5. This counts as a triple crochet and a chain space. Turn your work over. Skip over your first stitch and triple crochet into the stitch after that. That creates your first triple crochet chain space. Next, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and triple crochet into the stitch after that. Continue this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you towards the end to show you how to finish this row off. I'm towards the end of my row here, and I'm leaving my last triple crochet. I'm going to skip over this last stitch to maintain the mesh pattern, so what I'm going to do to connect these is chain 1, and into this chain 5 I'm going to slip stitch into the 4th chain. That completes this round of mesh triple crochet stitches. So next we're going to do 2 rows of triple crochet only. So chain up 4, turn your work over, and we're going to triple crochet into this first chain space. Then again on top of the triple crochet from the previous row, and continue this all the way around until you reach the end, triple crocheting into every chain space and stitch from the previous row. I'll meet you towards the end to demonstrate how to finish this row off. I'm at the end of my row here, and I'm leaving my last triple crochet into this chain space. Now it's time to connect the ends together. Once again, I'm just going to slip stitch into the 4th chain. And now this row is done. We still have one more row of triple crochet to do. However, I'm going to drop my hook size down. I wish I had a 4mm, but I don't, so I'm settling for this 3.75mm, but that's going to help taper the very bottom of our dress without having to do any decreases. So if you want to drop your hook down a size 2, you totally can. This is optional, but yeah, I'm just going to do a regular row with this smaller hook. So go ahead and complete your next row of triple crochets only, and I'll meet you back here whenever we're done. Here's what she's looking like so far. I love the shape that this is forming. Next, we're going to do another row of this mesh detail, and I'm going to use my small hook again. So to get started with that, chain up 5, turn your work over, skip the first stitch, and triple crochet into the stitch after that. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, triple crochet into the stitch after that. Continue this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you towards the end. I just left my last triple crochet, so what I'm doing now is chaining 1, and I'm going to slip stitch into the 4th chain. This completes our second row of the mesh detail, and I am going to stop adding length to this dress because it is as long as I would like it to be. You can continue to add length on yours if you'd like. If not, I'm going to continue on here and do this cute little Picot edging. So if you're following along with me, go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work. And I'm going to single crochet into the next 4 stitches. On this 4th stitch, I'm going to leave a picot. So what that is chaining up 3, then I'm going to insert my hook into the front of these 2 loops you see right here. I'm going to pull my yarn through and then back through that initial loop. Next, I'm going to single crochet 4 more times, and on the 4th single crochet, I'm going to leave another picot. So again, chain up 3, insert your hook into the front of these 2 loops at the bottom, pull your yarn through and slip stitch. I'll demonstrate this a few more times, but you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end to show you how to finish this row off. I'm finishing up my row here, and normally I wouldn't single crochet into this space, but I think this is a good spot to leave my last picot stitch, so I'm going to place that right there before I finish this row off. Finally, I'm just going to slip stitch into my very first single crochet that I made. Chain 1. Pull a long enough tail to weave into, and then go ahead and cut your yarn. Alright, all we have left to do is weave in these tails and then make our straps, which is super easy. I'm loving how this looks. I love how this fabric drapes from these triple crochets, and it's so beachy and boho-y and also kind of goth and sexy. So let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and start weaving these in at super speed just to get it over with, and then I'm going to demonstrate how I make my straps. After you have weaved in all of your tails, we are going to begin making our straps. So insert your hook into the tip of one of your triangles. Go ahead and grab your yarn and create a slip knot. And we're going to latch that slip knot onto our hook and pull it on through. I like to pull up a chain and then go back into that same stitch with a slip stitch just to make sure that it's really strong right there. Then I'm going to make a chain that's long enough to measure out to 60 inches. Here I am measuring my strap. It seems like I went a little bit further than I needed to go, so I'm just going to go ahead and unravel some of these stitches. I decided to keep it a little bit longer than 60 inches because whenever we cut our yarn and tie our knots at the end here, I don't want to lose any length from those knots. So go ahead and cut your yarn, tie your knots and cut off any of the excess yarn. Before I move on to the other side, I'm going to go ahead and weave this tail in just so I can get it over with and not have to do this later. Go ahead and do the same exact thing to the other side and I will show you how to lace this up. Alright, check her out, all done, and also take a sneak peek at my little portable workstation that's super tiny. My dress is as long as this table, so I'm gonna have to break out the wide angle lens to show it all. So let's go ahead and lace her up. Grab your right strap and I'm going to insert it into this far corner where we stopped increasing. Do the same thing with the left strap on the opposite corner. Next, I'm taking that same strap and I'm inserting it through the first triple crochet chain space and then doing it the same on the opposite side. And basically, I'm just zigzagging this into those triple crochet chain spaces and I'm stopping right here. If you want, you can also weave these in through the butt area and tie a little bow. But I'm going to leave mine laced up just like this for now and call her done. I am so obsessed with this pattern and I can't wait to see what you guys make. Whenever y'all send me and tag me in all of your pictures, I get so excited and I love sharing all of your posts to my story. So please keep sending those my way, especially if you made a longer version. I would be really happy and excited to see a long version of this. Here are all of my social media handles, and don't forget to give your girl a like and subscribe. See y'all next time. Love you!